couple of minutes, so I just wanted to do a quick video. I should say I have a ton of guilt. Maybe it's misplaced, maybe it's not, about the fact that I read a lot of books and I really want to talk about them. I want to write about them, and then somehow as I'm reading them, it just either takes me too long or I never end up saying all that I want to say. And then I also have this sort of feeling of fairness, like I should, talk about each book in order that I read it, and I should give it equal amount of time, because if I say something about one book that I love and I don't say as much about another book that I love, then it won't be fair, and I'll have failed some sort of cosmic book fairness. I realize saying this out loud that it makes me sound maybe OCD. I don't have this in any other part of my life. I have no sense of fairness, ethic, or whatever in any other realm except in reading books. I'm putting that aside because I just finished a book just now, like in the last hour, and so I thought I would just quickly say what I really liked about it, even before I write anything, or just in case time goes away from me. So it was Dorothy Greco's Marriage in the Middle, and I have an actual copy, which is great because then I can hold it up, because other books that I loved, people I know personally and have read, I didn't end up with a physical book. I listened to it on Audible, and I don't know how to hold up, like, look at my app. It doesn't sound as nice. Anyway, I just wanted to say, I just finished it, Marriage in the Middle. And it's a great book. So middle means like middle age, midlife, marriage in midlife. And it's Dorothy Greco, and it's by IVP Press. And I have met Dorothy, so that, of course, helps, because I know that she has a great marriage. I know it's not somebody out there, because I also just finished Didn't See That Coming by Rachel Hollis, and she's getting a divorce, and I don't know her personally, and I've been blocked on Instagram. I can't see her page anymore. And she's out giving marriage advice. So the point being, where you get your marriage advice really, really matters, because lots of people are out giving advice, including me, and you should be careful about who you listen to, because a lot of things that people say may seem fine, but then when you dig under the surface, you'll either discover that they're not doing the thing that they say you should do, or they are wrong, and it's a bad idea. So, that to say that I've met Dorothy, and I know that she and her husband have been together for their whole married life. I think she said in here it was like 30 years. And they have had children together, and they have been in the church, even in difficult church situations, and they have done what she recommends you do in this book. And so that's part one. Part two is that what she recommends is really counter to just about everything you're going to see anywhere else, which is, this is the thing that I think is particularly astonishing. She recommends that you stay married. In the beginning, she has, she lists the usual cases for why it might be good not to stay married if something has gone really tragically wrong. But some of the things that she talks about in this book are things that our culture would say are reasons that you shouldn't have to stay together. And she doesn't say that. In fact, the strength of the book, this book is strong on every point. But what was particularly meaningful for me, I think, or helpful, I guess, because I've been married 19 years. My oldest child is 18, and my youngest is 9. So I'm heading into the stage of life that she's talking about here. The thing that really helped me was that in every chapter, she interviews people who are married to each other and who have had a rough time. Either they have had a rough marriage, or they've had bad things happen to them, or they had illness. I mean, in each case, there was some kind of problem, and then the couple that she interviews, different couple for each chapter, they say, she, gives them a chance to say what it was that helped them get over, or not get over, but be strengthened by, in their marriage, the thing that happened. And not all of the things are tied up easily. Some of the people that she interviews have ongoing issues that are not resolved when she interviews them. So, go away, my child. Go away. So, I lost my train of thought. Those are two things. Another really helpful thing about this book is that she deals with the whole range of life. So she takes on at the very end the question of sex, part 1 and part 2, but going to church as a married couple, dealing with the inevitable disappointments that come with midlife, trauma and loss, body changes, menopause, and hormones and issues like that, and caregiving. So, many people in midlife find that they're dealing with their children on one hand and their parents on the other, and they get sort of caught in the caregiving function, especially women, I think, and learning how to navigate that in new, different ways is tough. So she takes that on. I found myself thinking that it was really kind of a primer for midlife marriage. She doesn't answer every question you would have, but she brings them all up in a helpful way so that you can start to think through where am I going? What should I be doing? What kind of person should I be, or am I, and how should my marriage be? Is my marriage as strong as I had thought? Are there things that we should have been paying attention to that we haven't paid attention to? So it was a really, really good book. I was really helped, especially as somebody who's giving advice to people who are preparing for marriage and helping people along the way. That's one of the hard things about being in the church, is that you are called on often to give advice to people without necessarily knowing personally if it's going to work out. So I was helped to see that a lot of the things that she says in here are things that I've said to people, but she's saying them from a more she's put more of them into practice for a longer term than I have. And so I thought that was very comforting to me. I'm not going off in the wrong direction. I also really particularly loved, she took on the question of sex, and I think it was really helpful. She and her husband bring up pornography, bring up adultery, bring up the way that our culture thinks about sex. She brings up the purity culture in a way that I think was really helpful. I tend to be a little suspicious. Maybe it's easy to bag on the purity culture right now, when the other side, the anti, the culture is so out of control too. I think if I was inclined to err on one side or the other, I would want to go towards the side of purity, but purity culture, she brings up the issues on both sides, I think, really fairly, and why the purity culture isn't a really good way of thinking about sex in marriage, that actually there's a biblical way to think, and she lays that out really well. I was really happy with that. So anyway, I just finished it. It's been out for a while. I was really slow, but some of the things that happened to me this time while I was actually reading this book, the kind of crises that she brings up, happened to me while I was reading this book, and so that was great. I would just say, I'm just also going to plug, I don't have a copy of it, but I also just really did finish Wendy Alsup, who I also have met in person, and who you can trust her take on the Bible. Wendy Alsup's Companions in Suffering, which I also read while I was reading the Rachel Hollis book, which I thought was kind of funny, because if you're actually looking for a book about suffering that will be helpful to you and what you should do, Companions in Suffering lays out a really, really good biblical view of suffering in the Christian life. And it's vastly to be preferred to the Rachel Hollis style of just, getting over it quick. Get over your grief. And if your marriage isn't working out, don't bother. Basically, is what she's saying. And both of those things are not good messages. So that's my video for today and probably this week. And I will be back another time. Thanks for watching.